After I refused to give my mom my inheritance, she called a family meeting. When I showed up, lawyers were waiting with documents for me to sign everything over. But as they handed me the papers, I smiled and said, "Funny, I brought someone too." The door opened, and suddenly, I found myself sitting across from my mother and the rest of my so-called family, watching them try to take what was rightfully mine. Let me take you back. My dad was the only real parent I had growing up. He wasn't perfect, but he worked hard, cared for me, and most importantly, he was fair. My mom, on the other hand, was selfish, manipulative, and always played the victim. They divorced when I was 12, and honestly, it was the best decision my dad ever made. Remember the day he told me. We were sitting on the porch in the summer heat, the wooden steps warm beneath us. Dad clasped his hands, his eyes fixed on the ground. "Son," he said, voice heavy with emotion, "your mom and I won't be living together anymore." I wasn't surprised. I'd been hearing arguments for months, doors slamming, and tense breakfasts after sleepless nights. I asked if it was because of money. Even at 12, I knew that was part of it. Mom always wanted more than Dad's contractor salary could provide. Dad looked at me, surprised, then sighed and placed a hand on my shoulder. "It's more complicated than that. But yes, money plays a role. Your mom and I want different things." What he didn't say, but what I understood years later, was that Mom wanted a lifestyle Dad could never give her. He was an honest, hard-working man, but he wasn't going to become rich building houses, and that wasn't enough for her. The divorce hit Dad hard. Mom drained him financially, demanding heavy alimony, but he never once complained to me. He worked extra hours, took more jobs, and made sure I never felt the strain. Weekends with him were filled with fishing trips, garage projects, or simply watching basketball together in silence. At Mom's house, life looked different. 6 months after the divorce, she met Richard, a wealthy real estate developer. Suddenly, she had a mansion, a luxury car, and vacations to places Dad and I only saw on TV. Soon, my half-siblings, Emily and Tyler, arrived, becoming the center of her new life. Mom adapted quickly to Richard's world. New hair, expensive clothes, a carefully polished laugh. She encouraged me to call him Dad, but I refused. Around Richard, she acted like her life began with him, dismissing her years with my father as if they were a mistake. When I brought up memories, she'd brush them aside. "That was a different time. We've moved on." But Dad never asked me to hate her. "She's still your mother," he'd remind me. "Be angry if you need to, but don't let it consume you." That was the kind of man he was, always thinking of what was best for me, even towards someone who hurt him deeply. Then last year, Dad passed away suddenly from a heart attack. No warning. One day we were planning a fishing trip. The next, I was arranging his funeral. It broke me. But what came after was almost worse. Dad's will was clear. Everything went to me. The house, savings, investments, everything. He made sure of it because he knew my mother would try to interfere. I even remember him warning me, "She'll come after it. Be ready." I thought I was prepared, but I underestimated how far she'd go. Not even a week after the funeral, she started calling. First came fake sympathy. "How are you holding up, sweetheart?" Then guilt. "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have had the life your father gave you." Finally, demands. "Do the right thing and split it with your family." By family, she meant herself, Richard, and their 2 children. People who barely spoke to my dad. People who never lifted a hand to help him when he was sick. I told her no, again and again. That's when things escalated. She started showing up unannounced, pounding on my door. I remember one evening in particular. I had just come home after a long shift, exhausted, only to find her blocking my driveway with her Mercedes. She pushed past me into my house, pacing in designer clothes that probably cost more than my rent. "This has gone on long enough," she snapped. "It's been weeks. Time to be reasonable." "Reasonable?" I shot back. "Like you were during the divorce, when you took everything from Dad?" Her face hardened. "That's ancient history. This is about now, about what's fair." "Fair?" I said. "Fair would have been visiting Dad when he was in the hospital. Fair would have been answering his calls on his birthday. Fair would have been respecting him after everything he gave you." She flinched but recovered quickly. "Your father made his choices, I made mine. That's the past. But this inheritance, it affects all of us." "No," I said firmly. "It affects me. Dad left it to me. That's the end of it." Her expression softened into fake concern. "Honey, I'm worried. That's a lot of money for someone your age. You could make mistakes." I almost laughed. "I'm 32, Mom, not a child." "You'll always be my baby," she said, reaching for my cheek. I stepped back. Her eyes flashed and her voice turned sharp. "Think about what your father would want. He'd want you to share with your siblings." "No, he wouldn't," I replied. "He wanted exactly what's in his will, for me to have what he worked and saved for." Her face turned cold. "Fine, do what you want. But remember, family is forever. You're choosing money over blood." "That's rich coming from you," I said, opening the door. "Wasn't that exactly what you did when you left?" She stormed out, but I knew it wasn't over. Soon after, my half-sister left dramatic voicemails accusing me of tearing the family apart. Then came the threats, contesting the will, dragging me through court. Still, I stood firm. Then came the invitation, a family meeting. That should have been the warning sign. My family never met for anything except drama. The wording was strangely formal, printed on cream stationery. "The Hanson family requests your presence for an important discussion regarding the estate of William Jensen." Reading my father's full name like that, so impersonal, made my blood boil. I called my best friend, Mike. "They're planning something," I told him. "Then don't go," he said. "You don't owe them anything. But if I don't go, I'll never know what they're up to." "Then go," he said, "but be prepared and maybe bring backup." That's when I thought of Patricia Ramirez, Dad's lawyer. She had helped draft his will and knew every detail. I explained the situation and she didn't hesitate. "This sounds like an ambush," she said. "If you're going, I'm coming with you. Don't tell them I'll be there." The day of the meeting, I felt sick. Patricia and I agreed to arrive separately. Me first, her a few minutes later. When I walked into my mother's house, it felt like a setup. The living room was arranged like a courtroom. Mom sat in the center with Richard. My half-siblings smirked nearby. Two men in suits, lawyers, stood waiting. One of them spoke immediately. "We're here to discuss the distribution of your father's assets." He handed me a thick stack of papers. "This is a revised agreement. It outlines a fair division among all immediate family members." I skimmed through it. They wanted 75% of everything. The house, the savings, even Dad's car. "You must be joking," I said, glaring at my mom. "This is the best solution for everyone," she said. "You don't need all of it. Be reasonable." Reasonable? They wanted to strip away everything my father had worked for. I smiled, tossed the papers onto the table, and said, "Funny, I brought someone too." The door opened. In walked Patricia, my father's lawyer, the one who knew every legal safeguard he had put in place. Mom's face went pale. Richard shifted in his chair. Patricia flipped through their so-called agreement. "This is cute," she said. "Illegal, but cute." One lawyer cleared his throat. "We believe that, given the circumstances, a redistribution—" Patricia cut him off. "The will is ironclad. Any attempt to contest it will be thrown out. And if you try to pressure my client into signing this, we'll press charges for fraud and attempted extortion." The room fell silent. "You wouldn't," my mom said, her voice sharp. "You wouldn't take your own mother to court." I looked her straight in the eye. "Try me." For once, she had nothing to say. My stepdad's grip on the armrest was so tight his knuckles had turned white. Then my mom's lawyer cleared his throat and said, "There's no need for hostility. We're only trying to reach a mutual agreement." Mutual agreement? I leaned back in my chair, arms folded. That would have meant talking to me before you had a lawyer draft a document that tries to take what's mine. My lawyer closed the contract and set it firmly on the table. "This wouldn't last 2 seconds in court. And if you think my client is signing anything today, you're mistaken." My mom let out a sharp breath. "This is ridiculous." "No," I told her. "What's ridiculous is you trying to pressure me into giving up everything Dad left me." Her tone turned sharp. "He didn't leave it to you because he loved you more. He just didn't think things through. You don't need all of it. Your siblings deserve their share." I clenched my jaw. "You mean the 2 people who barely acknowledged he existed? The ones who never visited him in the hospital or called him on his birthday? They don't deserve a thing." My half-brother, who had been quiet until now, snapped. "That's not fair. We weren't close to him because he never tried with us. He always favored you." I turned to him. "You mean the man you called a washed-up loser the last time he invited you over for Christmas? That man?" He flushed red and stayed silent. Then my stepdad leaned forward. "Listen, son, don't call me that." I cut him off. His smile tightened. "All right, we can argue all day, or we can work out a solution for everyone." My lawyer gave a small smirk. "We already have one. It's called following the will." She pulled out a folder from her briefcase and slid it across the table. "This contains a legal breakdown of the will, copies of my client's rights, and a cease and desist order." "I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request." She smiled, calm, deliberate. She sat back down, smoothed her blouse, and sighed. "Fine, we won't fight it." It was too easy. My lawyer must have noticed too, because she narrowed her eyes. "Good, then we'll be leaving." We gathered our things and headed for the door. Just as I stepped out, my mom called after me. "Take care of that house, sweetheart. You never know when accidents can happen." The hair on my neck stood up. I didn't reply, just kept walking. But her words echoed in my head the whole day. In the car, Patricia looked at me, concern written on her face. "That was a threat," she said. I nodded, gripping the wheel. She's never been one to lose gracefully. "From now on," Patricia advised, "document everything. Calls, texts, emails, save them all. If she shows up, record it. If anything happens to your property, report it immediately." "You think she'd actually do something?" I asked, though I already suspected the answer. "Your father thought so," Patricia replied. "That's why he made the will airtight. He was protecting you, even after he was gone." That night, I sat surrounded by Dad's paperwork, insurance files, property deeds, account statements. Everything was carefully organized, just as he had left it. My eyes drifted to a photo of us at my college graduation, Dad smiling proudly, his arm around me. Mom hadn't come, claiming Emily had a dance recital. "I'll make you proud, Dad," I whispered to the photo. "I won't let them take what you built." But I barely slept. My mom's words haunted me. "Take care of that house. You never know when accidents can happen." It hadn't been casual, it was deliberate. The next morning, I drove to the house. I hadn't moved in yet. Too many memories, but I planned to one day. Pulling into the driveway, my stomach dropped. The front door was wide open. I knew I had locked it. Inside, the place was wrecked. Cushions slashed, drawers emptied, photos smashed, and across the living room wall, in red spray paint, one word: thief. I didn't need to guess who was behind it. I called the police. They took notes, but with no evidence or witnesses, they admitted little could be done. So I filed the report anyway, then took the next step. I installed cameras. Not cheap ones, high definition, motion activated, covering every entrance inside and out. For days, I stayed there, cleaning, repairing, and setting up security. My friend Mike helped, bringing tools and food, quietly supporting me. "You should press charges," he said. "With what proof?" I replied. "The cops said they can't do anything." "Then sell the place and move," he suggested. I shook my head. "That's exactly what they want, for me to run. This was Dad's house. I'm not giving it up." Mike nodded. "Then fight smart." That night, I sat on the repaired porch, remembering evenings spent there with Dad. This wasn't just a house, it was his legacy. The next day, I updated Patricia. "This is escalating," she said. "Consider a restraining order. It may not stop them yet, but it builds a record." "Not if they try again," I corrected. "When?" 4 nights later at 2:37 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Backyard. I opened the feed and froze. My mom, dressed in black, creeping around with a flashlight. Her husband behind her, carrying a gas can. I hit record and dialed 911. "My mother and her husband are trying to set my house on fire." As I watched, my mom handed him a lighter. Then sirens pierced the night. They panicked, tried to run, but the police caught them. I drove over just as they were shoved into squad cars. My mom screamed at me. "You set me up! You did this to me!" "No, Mom," I said calmly. "You did this to yourself." That was the last time I saw her in person. She was charged with attempted arson and conspiracy. Her husband, too. With the footage as evidence, their lawyers had nothing. The judge denied her bail. My half-siblings scrambled to distance themselves. My half-sister left a tearful voicemail claiming she had no idea. My half-brother sent a short text, "Hope you're okay." I didn't respond. They had enabled her long enough. The trial took 6 months. My mom tried every excuse. She didn't know it was gasoline. She was just checking on me, even that I set her up. The footage told the truth. The jury took less than 2 hours. Guilty. 10 years for her, 12 for him. Their appeals failed. Finally, peace. I repaired the house, replaced Dad's photos, and framed a copy of the cease and desist order as a reminder of how far they went and what they lost. I never spoke to my half-siblings again. They went their own way, and I let them. When I finally moved in, it felt right. I kept up the garage projects Dad started, drank coffee on the porch where we once sat, and built a future from what he left me. Sometimes I wonder how things would have turned out if Mom had respected his wishes. But then I remember what Dad always said. You can't control what others do, only how you respond. I like to think I responded the way he would have wanted, by standing firm, protecting what mattered, and not letting bitterness win. Patricia still checks in from time to time. "Your father would be proud," she told me recently, And I believe she's right, because the real inheritance wasn't just the house or the money. It was the example Dad set, to live with integrity, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And that's worth more than anything my mother ever tried to take.